Welcome to another edition of Blathercast Comics. We're two guys talking about comic books, pop culture, and other general blather. I'm John.
And I'm Dave.
Yeah.
Yep, when we did the other podcast that was just two guys sitting around talking about comics, that was an insult.
It was an insult.
But we thought it was directed at us, but it was directed at someone else.
Right.
Stupid.
I'm so dumb. I'm such a egotistical, self-centered narcissist that I thought somebody was talking about me. And
yeah, it wasn't.
Dude, I'm on your radio network and you're bashing me. What the fuck?
Yeah. Well, they were just two guys sitting around talking about politics all the time and not ever doing anything to help. So it's like, whatever.
Well, I mean, think about that, though. None of those people who talk about that stuff help, ever.
Right, exactly. It's like,
they're just
I'd rather talk about comic books then.
I'm just here to collect a check.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you how stupid everyone else is and how corrupt and how much of a liar everyone is, but I'll collect money off that.
Speaking of collecting money.
Yeah.
So, obviously you can go to shop.blathercast.com and buy some stuff, but I put donation button on comics.blathercast.com.
Yeah.
So if people want to donate, they can, but there's a very special donation level. Any donation $40 above gets a free art print t-shirt from the shop.
What?
Yeah, so there's just the $40, like if you go down to the bottom of the page, it's like t-shirt donation. You click on that and you get a t-shirt, but if you use the other donation option, which has like presets amounts and then other where you can enter in your own amount, if it's $40 or more, you'll also get the t-shirt. If you want to give me $50, I'm not, you obviously you still get the t-shirt.
Right.
In fact, if you double it to 80, I'll give you 2 t-shirts.
Whoa. What a bargain.
But yeah, anyways, I added, you don't have to go to Patreon. You can just go there.
Right.
One of these days, maybe I'll set up a monthly thing and then we'll do something with the people that pay monthly, but I don't think we're there yet at all.
No, not even close.
Not even
which
close.
Is cool.
But that's
which is fine because we started doing this about 2 months ago?
Yeah, it's
almost 3 months, right? March, April, May. Yeah, probably like 3 months now, almost.
Yeah, I mean,
so you got like all these artists doing shirts for you.
Yes, yep, and I will be getting more. I'd like to get lots of art on our t-shirts because let's face it, even though my logo design, which is very derivative, is kind of cool, it's also kind of lame to buy a t-shirt of some no name dude.
Can we somehow spoof the old school Marvel Comics logo?
I could look into it. I'm sure we could figure something out. Yeah.
You know the one I'm talking about, where it's just like a big M, and then it has Marvel on top of the M, and then comics through the M.
Yeah, so like the 80s one, right? Or
yeah. I'm looking at Avengers West Coast from 1990 right now, and that's the corner box. Let me tell you, I really
it had that at the top and then all the faces underneath it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I really love that stuff, man.
The West Coast Avengers?
Like just the the whole presentation of the book, like from back then, like all their books, like I love the corner box. Gives you all your information you need. Gives you little pictures of their little faces. Oh, these are the guys that are going to be in the book. You know,
Right.
sometimes they're not. Sometimes, sometimes they forget to change the faces. But I like the whole presentation. But I had pulled out a whole bunch of West Coast Avengers, or Avengers West Coast, which it was changed to, because of the announcement that Kelly Thompson was going to be writing a new West Coast Avengers title. And the title had included Hawkeye Clint Barton, but then like Hawkeye Kate Bishop, Gwenpool, who had a canceled series, America Chavez, who had a canceled series. Who was the other characters?
Let's see if we can we'll bring that up.
There's two other characters on there. There was one was like Kate Bishop's boyfriend or something, and that I never heard of.
So there's Mohawk Guy, Gwenpool.
Oh, and Quentin Quire from X-Men. He's from Grant Morrison and Frank Wyatt Lee's new X-Men run, which was like the early 2000s.
Okay.
So like those characters are like Quentin Quire is like whatever. He was kind of popular during Grant Morrison's run. But like none of those other characters are really popular, which is fine. You can have a bunch of unpopular or not well-known characters on a team book. I don't have a problem with that. The problem is these characters didn't sell at all. The characters, they're just like Clint Barton would lead this team. He would be the definitive leader, I think. And it doesn't look like that's the way that they're going with the book. What they did was, reading the preview of the book, they're talking about it being more of like a reality. They're going to be in a reality TV show. So it's like the real world, because they're going to be living together, which the original West Coast Avengers lived together in a compound. But they're going to be living together. It's going to be like a real world in Parks and Rec meets superheroes. And I was like, it's failed experiments. This kind of like sitcom humor that they've put in comic books since like 2013, 2014. The Axel Alonso era of Marvel, it's not working. It doesn't sell. These are characters that people don't want to see really on a team. Maybe one of them could have been on the team. Like if you had Hawkeye and America Chavez, and then you brought in some of the old school Avengers, or at least some of the West Coast Avengers that were on the book before. And my idea was, and I had tweeted this out, and I was reading some old West Coast Avengers and really reading the books, and what was missing in the books today is effort. Maybe I don't know, maybe not effort, but when I read an older book, even from the 90s, and the era I was reading was probably like 88 to 90, 1990. I read a whole bunch actually the other day. What I saw was them really taking their time with the art, them really trying to put out a good product. The art, there's like backgrounds and all kinds of detail, and then the storytelling is great. The plots might not be like, the most interesting thing, but they're superhero stories and they're adventure, and there's a lot of action and there's a lot of drama in this Avengers book from the 90s. And there's like subplots. There'll be like a 2-page little subplot that's like setting up the next arc or setting up something else that's going to happen later. Like, I don't really see a whole lot of that going on at current Marvel. I don't see a whole lot of backgrounds in the art. I don't see like they care about the characters. I don't see like they read the back issues. because in these back issues, there's tons of stories to be told still. Like, all these writers from back in the day always left something to be explored. And if you actually read the books, it's there. It's really there. So, I mean, like, if I was going to do a West Coast Avengers now and they hired me, obviously I'd want a really good artist, an artist that took their time with stuff and really put the detail and put the effort into the book. And but I would have a team of classic Avengers. I would have Scarlet Witch, and these are Avengers that aren't on the team right now, or not on the main Avengers team. Like, I would have Scarlet Witch, I'd have White Tiger, I'd have Hawkeye, I'd have War Machine, I would have probably Tigra. I would have all these different characters that were on the West Coast. I'd have like Hank Pym make an appearance. The Wasp was a West Coast Avenger for some time. Hawkeye is the big West Coast Avenger. He founded the team. Mockingbird. Like, I would have a rotating team probably, or I would have, guest appearances every now and again. West Coast Avengers never really had a solid team as they got later into the run. Like, they were on a compound, and Hank Pym wasn't like Ant-Man, Giant Man, or Yellow Jacket. He was just a dude in a jacket. But it was cool, and he kind of was like one of the leaders of the team. But I'd have like Wonder Man and Beast, because they have like a friendship and a relationship together. And if you wanted to put a newer character on there, or a character that isn't, as popular, if you wanted to throw in America Chavez or Quentin Quire, just to throw somebody new on the team and shake things up, I think that would be fine. And I think people would really like the book, and I think it would sell because Sorry, go ahead.
No, you think it would sell?
No, go ahead. I'm good.
It took me like I don't know, since this book got announced to remember who Quentin Quire is.
Yeah.
I remember that I kind of liked him in some stories.
Yeah, I mean, he was like when Grant Morrison used him, he was an interesting character, and he was a popular character, and he was kind of like an ass, he starts a whole I guess it was like a revolution against the teachers. He was trying to take over the school. He was.
Yeah, I remember. I read that. Yeah, that's where I thought I liked him.
Yeah, he was like, wear a shirt that said Magneto was right. He was definitely that character he wasn't evil, but he thought he knew better than the teachers, and he was fed up with it or whatever, and he wanted to start. He wanted control over everything. I don't know, man. Like, I don't think a sitcom type reality TV show, jokey kind of book is what we need right now. I think you should take it seriously. I think you should I think the writers should read the back issues. I think they should do the research on the characters and know what these characters are about. And I think you should use some of the classic characters that people have been missing. And I think you would have an instant hit. West Coast Avengers, when it came out, I mean, it sold a lot of copies compared to today, but it's not exactly like the greatest storytelling. But when I was reading it, it really felt like people cared. And I read it, and I read a bunch of them, and I really enjoyed the stories. And it's not like huge things happen, and you could find most of these books in dollar bins. But I think it was a great run, and I think they should go back to some of the classic stuff. And I think even newer readers, if you're trying to get newer readers, I think newer readers would read stuff with the classic characters. I really do.
I think readers just want to read good stories. I don't think their method of acquiring new customers works because they don't have one. you know what I mean? Like, how do you get somebody to check out comic books? Um, you're just shooting a bunch of ideas at an audience that is very small, that's not there. Because if you're not into comics and you're like, hey, we got this great new book that's going to appeal to this different audience, but you never ever you never tell that audience that, hey, we've got this thing for you. Like, I don't understand how that works.
I think they're chasing an audience that doesn't read comics, though. Like, or at least,
well, maybe they would, but it's like they're like screaming into a tunnel that has no people in it. You know what I'm saying?
right, and the people that come to my store and like go to a comic book shop and see what people are digging, see what people are liking, see what's actually selling. Don't go by diamond numbers and how many orders were shipped, because there's so many variables to it. Go and see what people are getting. See what people are buying out of habit. See what people are going like, yeah, I'm getting Amazing Spider-Man, but that's because I've collected it since 1974. You know, like, see what people are talking about. People, you want to make your customers happy. So I don't think the West Coast Avengers is making anyone happy. I might be wrong. It might be the greatest book ever, and it's funny and great, and the characters are written well or whatever. And she's got, great plots and great stories and subplots, and you could tell stories out of it for years. Maybe that will be the case. But looking at the promo art, the cover art itself didn't look like it took much time to do. And I see these pro artists that are just fantastic, like an Ethan Van Sciver or Sean Gordon Murphy, who really, that they actually care about what the book is going to look like. And they take their time, and especially if they're going to do a cover of a number one, which is going to want, covers are, you see a cover like when we were kids and we saw a cover on a spinner whack, that really kind of like made us pick it up.
In comics especially, you totally judge the book by its cover.
You do.
A lot of times.
If you're like, wow, this cover is interesting and stuff. Like, I'm flipping through these books, John, and I'm like taking pictures of stuff, and I was posting them on Twitter. And I'm taking pictures of like the house ads of like, oh, look, here's Mutant Massacre. And you're like, man, I would totally buy that book. Oh, wait, I already did. But, right. It was cool. They took their time with it. They made it look professional, but neat. And they would have like these little catchphrases, like, you'd be like, oh, what is this about? At least you'll get someone to pick it up off the rack and flip through the book,
Yeah.
So, I guess that's my rant on Avengers West Coast. I think
I had one more comment about West Coast Avengers, and then we can move on.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants a totally unbiased opinion of this announcement and book, the MarySue.com has a great article called All Your Canceled Faves Are Back in Marvel's West Coast Avengers. You can tell that this article is truthful because it mentions that all the canceled books are your favorites. So I'll have a link to this article in the description of the show, so you can go read it for yourself. I'm sure that it has the most accurate portrayal of what this book is going to be about and why it's going to sell like gangbusters.
So, like, this is something that they've done. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go. This is something they've done.
This is something that they've done throughout Marvel's history, is take like canceled books and stuff and like, oh, instead of 3 X-Men titles, we're going to cancel these and make one. I mean, you kind of did it with Avengers No Surrender. Like, you had Avengers, you had like US Avengers and Uncanny Avengers, and you canceled Uncanny and US, and you made it all just Avengers, and you made it weekly or whatever. But when you think about it, like, oh, if we take this book and this book and this book, this had 11,000, this had 11,000, this had 11,000. We put all those characters in this one team book. We should have 33,000. Doesn't really work that way.
Right, because all 11,000 of those people were the same customers.
Maybe.
So
Maybe.
I want to end this West Coast Avengers on a positive note.
Okay.
At least the cover art looks better than Thundercats.
Okay,
so let's I've got a little promo video to show everybody before we talk about this.
Okay.
Hey there, everyone. My name's Lion-O, and I'm the star of a new show called Thundercats Roar. Wait, you don't know what a Thundercat is?
Everybody knows what a Thundercat is.
Well, let's start small. I'm a Thundercat, and this is my magic slicing stick, Sword of Omens. Give me sight beyond sight.
Magic slicing stick.
I grew up watching.
So I'm stopping this. I'm not watching any more of this.
Yeah.
But they go through the Warner Brothers studio, and then they show this guy with the man bun.
Mm-hmm.
But they go in, and it's got the ridiculous looking character, but it's got the old cool Thundercats logo next to it.
Mm-hmm.
But when they got to the actual promos for this show, they're like, nah, let's ditch that too. Oh,
outlandish
man.
Some of those ideas are and some of those settings are, but at the same time, any bit, every step we take towards comedy, we take two more towards really cool action scenes and explosions and laser effects. When I eventually started learning how to animate,
if your lasers and explosions still look like cotton candy, is it okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I was just wondering. I never watched Thundercats. We've had this conversation 100 times. I got 2 channels. I never got to watch any of the cool cartoons. I pretty much, for cartoons, lived on the it wasn't Saturday morning for me. It was every morning. And it was like the Rocky and Bullwinkle show was on at like 6 a.m. And I watched it like every day because my bus got there at like 6:45 or something.
So, what I don't understand about, people cut, why are you mad? Why are you mad about something that's not for you? And blah, 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 right? And it's like, I'm not mad.
I'm not mad either, but it doesn't.
I'm not mad, but it's just, it doesn't look good to me. It doesn't look good. Like, I would watch it as someone in their 30s that grew up watching the cartoon. And I wouldn't be like, oh, let me check it out. And if I had kids, I'd be like, oh, maybe it's something I could watch and my kid could watch too. You get that kind of audience with a lot of things the Ninja Turtles movies or something like that. You grew up watching the Turtles and now you have kids, you go to the theater and watch Ninja Turtles with your kid. But with Thundercats, it's like, with this thing, that cartoon was for kids back then. And then they did a 2011 remake, basically. And it was really good. It was really, really good. It's one of my favorite cartoons. And it only went a season. And it was supposed to be ordered. They ordered like 52 episodes and only got to 26, I believe. And they canceled it. And I think production was too high. Costs were too high. And they didn't have the merchandising, wasn't there what they wanted. Whatever number they thought they were going to get, then they didn't get. And they ended up canceling the show. But I think a lot of people really like that show. And this show just looks like Steven Universe, regular show, Adventure Time kind of animation. And it's like, don't we have enough of that stuff? Back when we were kids, Transformers and G.I. Joe and Thundercats, those cartoons were done well. The animation was done well for the time. The stories were fun. I mean, they might have been a little bit cheeseball, but it's kids and it was the 80s. Why can't we have shows like that anymore?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't like what they did with the new Scooby-Doo either, but, maybe that's just me.
Someone made a point, it might have been Diversity in Comics, made a point when he was saying it's like the demasculation of like things. Like being masculine is bad. And so like our cartoons have to be very like goofy and silly.
That's not even cartoons. I mean, if you look at anything today on TV, all the sitcoms, a lot of the shows, a lot of the movies, especially Disney movies, it seems, they make the guy is always a bumbling idiot. Like men aren't men. Men are not depicted as what I grew up thinking a man was. Like, like Dirty Harry or John Wayne or, any of those types of characters.
Like when you look
Arnold
at stuff,
Schwarzenegger, I could go on and on and on. Sylvester Stallone, like.
But now we get like Big Bang Theory guys, like all the time. Like watching that show, it's very like annoying, that show to me.
I hate that show.
Yeah, I honestly hate that show. And people are always like, "Oh, it's like comic books," and it's like, yeah, great. But like they're dorky guys, but dorky guys don't necessarily aren't like wimpy, I guess. You could like nerdy things and still be a masculine person. Like, I don't get that, and I don't understand why people are so threatened by it. And I think we need cartoons that are masculine for kids, and that's why people that were fans of Thundercats and of the show are aggravated at this promo and at this art, because it's okay to have strong role models, strong man role models, and characters that are brave and not these cowards that we see all the time.
This is another product of how everything these days has to be super extreme. So you look at, some things that are generally associated with men, misogyny, beating your wife, sexual assault, stalking, like all the stuff that you know that some women do it too, but it's not, you know what I mean? It's always a guy doing that stuff. At least that's the stuff that gets reported on. I mean, forget about all the school teachers that have raped their students, but they're all women, but forget about that. They don't count. But the good things that I always associated with masculinity and being a real man, which as far as I'm concerned also apply to women, because I think they're just great traits to have, like providing for your family, opening the door for anybody, doesn't matter who, being respectful, like those are things that I associate with masculinity that are like frowned upon, like, oh, you don't have to be the breadwinner and blah, 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 blah. And I tell you what, that little bit of misogyny in my family I'm in now is what drove me, because my wife was so much more successful than me for a long time, and it bugged me. And you know what? Because that drove me, my whole family is better off for it. It wasn't a bad thing. The end result is fantastic.
Right.
I can provide way more for my family than if I would have just kept my status quo and never, been driven by that evil.
Well, when you talk about like the extreme, like when you're saying the extremes, and it's like, I think you're right. And it's like, because a few men did this or that, and you could do this with any group of people. They're
Right.
like, okay, men are bad. They do this. All men are pigs. You always see that. And everyone's like, oh yeah, huh, and it's okay. Or, if I say something, oh no, you have to do it this way. Oh, you're mansplaining. Well, it's kind of like a sexist comment. Like, my gender has nothing to do with me telling you, oh no, you're wrong. So like, I think there is an extreme, and I think we go to this extreme, and now we have to have no masculinity in our cartoons because, God forbid, the kids grow up liking, a tough Thundercat, or whatever.
Right. Or, they want to be strong or brave or courageous. Like, oh, that's all bad stuff to be. And you get what I'm saying about how men are just portrayed as bumbling idiots now. They're never portrayed as strong or saving the day or anything. Like, that's not allowed. You can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, that was like the little tangent is like my problem with the current Amazing Spider-Man was like that. It was like his girlfriend always had to save him, and it was just like, when I grew up, Spider-Man, the book was called Amazing Spider-Man, and Spider-Man was the hero of the book. Was there times where he needed help? For sure. But for the most part, Spider-Man was the hero, and he would figure out a way how to get something done. And it wasn't a bad thing. It was somebody you could look up to. It was someone that you're like, wow, not only did he get his ass kicked, he still got enough money to help his aunt. So it's like, where's that? Where is that in the entertainment? Like, and you're right about TV shows and sitcoms. It's like, good Lord.
Oh, and another example is that Peter King book on that digital book of Avengers Back to Basics.
Oh, Peter David.
Yeah, Peter David. I'm sorry, Peter King. I didn't mean to insult you. I think I was confusing
Who are you insulting?
Tom King and Peter King, or Peter David, or Larry David. Whatever.
Yeah, Larry. He did it.
Where Pepper Potts comes in and saves the day, and it's yeah, okay.
He had to ask his girlfriend, hey, could I beat up this demon? Whatever.
Oh, what a good story.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. I think it's odd. I think we grew up in a whole different era. I see it. I see kids coming. I see kids coming into my shop, and they're super disrespectful and really loud. And I don't know. Maybe it's the cartoons. Maybe it's their dads. I don't know.
Yeah, kids are tough. I can tell you that. Oh, they're tough. Anyways, you can follow me at Johnny Redbeard.
You didn't have any books to talk about?
I don't know. We're past the 30-minute mark. I thought you'd want to wrap it up.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's good.
We're past showtime and we started late.
Oh man, I know.
So, yeah. So, if you want to check the show out on your phone or whatever in audio format, so you don't chew up all your data and stuff, if you listen to this, I don't know where people listen to this, if they listen into their car or whatever, you can get it pretty much anywhere you can get podcasts. So whatever podcast app you use, you can probably find it there. Just search Blathercast Comics. Hit the little subscribe button, turn on notifications on YouTube. Go to shop.blathercast.com and also on comics.blathercast.com. There's the donate button, and then there's the special t-shirt level donation, which is anything 40 or above gets you free shirt.
Crazy.
You can
follow me at Second Prince. And that's it.
Yeah, and that'll be any t-shirt in the t-shirt category. It doesn't necessarily have to be one of the art t-shirts. So, if you want the $32 5XL baseball jersey shirt, go for it.
Nice.
All right. Yeah. Follow me at Johnny Redbeard and follow Dave, around with a
chase me around.
Chase him around with a, pellet gun, shoot him in the ass.
No, don't do that.
At Second Prince on Twitter. Another issue
in the bag.